This week was an emotional roller coaster. We went from hardly no views at all to jumping right back up to where we wanted to be. I'm going to talk about what changed, what mistakes I made, and then what I'm going to be doing in the near future. So let's get started. So I went from a view or a daily engaged view of 30 all the way up to 340 in just 2 days. And I want to talk about what I did to fix it. I noticed that I was starting to go down in views and engaged views. And I talked about that a little bit in the last video. And I figured out what the problem was and I fixed it. And maybe this is a problem you have as well. So, as I said in the last video, I wanted to start showing you guys more of what I was doing last week compared to this week. And so this is a breakdown of the last 2 weeks. So this is last week, this is this week. And so you can see on Sunday, the amount of views I gained was something like 45. Monday, I had 340 versus 210. And these are all engaged views. I kind of broke away from the actual views versus the engaged views because I'm wanting to see more of what people are actually watching. Because a view, as we talked in the past, is someone just swiped to your video and they may have just swiped away if it's a YouTube short. And I have quite a few shorts on this channel. So, I wanted to look at the metric of engaged view because to me, that's more important. That's what actually gives you those watch time hours that you need to be monetized. And so you can kind of see over the past week, which I said I was going to be working on improving. We're going to kind of go down below and I'm going to talk about what I did to improve that. And so you can see I have greatly increased that number. And this is what I was talking about last week. I was seeing a trend down throughout the week, and I caught that trend and figured out what the problem was and made some changes to my channel and fixed that trend. Yes, my overall views have gone down, but my engaged views, as you can see, has greatly went up. Here you can actually see the percentage, engaged views versus what it was the week before. My subscribers, 26 subscribers, 18. So I've increased on those two numbers. Click through rate, I increased. I mean, as you can see, at 0.1%, but it's still an improvement. Or actually, I went down 0.1%. Sorry, so it went negative a little bit. But I was able to increase some of these other things that I was really working on. So that's understandable. Sometimes one metric goes down while another metric goes up. So what did we see here? We had a huge dip. I mean, it was just like I was trending down. But as you can see, I've got that fixed and started trending back up again. And so what did I find? I actually found I was utilizing in the YouTube settings the tags feature that you can automatically put in. You can do the tags for your channel, which is good. You can make sure that those are all very, very broad. They cover all the different subjects that your YouTube channel covers. But what I made the mistake of is I made the video tags very broad as well. And all I can guess is that YouTube's algorithm kind of caught that I was doing that. And that mistake cost me some views. As you can see, it started trending down because I started looking over some of them and I was looking at some of my videos that I did really well. And I realized that I was really honing in on those tags and deleting some of them because I do things from AI to, space, NASA, SpaceX, Tesla vehicles, all on this channel. Well, I had made a mistake on several of my vehicles and not deleted, like if it was a video about Optimus, the Tesla robot. I made a mistake and left like a tag in there for NASA or Artemis and kept a couple of those tags in by mistake and didn't realize it. I was uploading, I guess, quickly, wasn't paying attention to every setting and missed those. and I missed them quite often on these videos, and I completely just I guess I wasn't even paying attention and skipping that step. And I noticed now that I had a trend of everything kind of going down. Once I honed in and figured out what that was, it was somewhere about here, the 13th or the 14th, that I caught what was going on, and I started fixing these videos. Well, it continued to go down. I was like, man, maybe that's not it. But then once it realized what I had done, I was fixing my mistakes. I actually went back and fixed all of these other videos. It took me probably an hour or so to go through several videos and fix the ones that I forgot to go back and fix. Well, after that, it was probably maybe the third day. Uh, I hit my lowest point, 30 engaged views in a day. I was like, man, I was kind of heartbroken for a minute. I was like, man, this YouTube thing, it's gone downhill. I kind of felt, down. But then the next morning I got up and I jumped up to 285 engaged views and I was very happy. And then it continued to grow and it's kind of come back to a level point, which is actually higher than it was before, but kind of leveled back out. And I'm sticking somewhere around this 300 to range, 350 range, somewhere in that range. And that was the problem that I made. And I realized that once I found it, I fixed the problem. Just in case one of you guys are having that same problem, you may want to check your tags and just verify that the tags that you have on your video are the correct tags and they're really honed into what that video is about. Don't be too broad. The broader tags are good for your channel if you cover a bunch of different topics, but you want to make sure that the tags for the video that you made that day are really honed into what that video is about. All right, continuing down. So as you can see, I've didn't increase a lot of total views. And that's what I said before. I was at like 60,000 views last week, but it did increase. I mean, as you can see, I've got 62,721 total views. Engaged view increased. I've got 33,147 engaged views. And that is 52.8% of all my views. So that's a really, really good number to have. I'm happy to see that over half of my views are engaged views. I mean, YouTube and Google and everything I've looked up says that is a great number to have. 390. I am at 10% at 10% of being able to monetize versus this number. So I'm working on the subscribers. As you can see, I've got 142. So total so far, I've gained 162 and lost 20, which, I understand. Some people find some of my content good. Some of them might subscribe and then decide that it wasn't their thing. That's fine. I'm looking for a certain type of person who enjoys this type of content. So, you know, if people change their mind and decide this is their content, that's up to them. But this is really neat that I'm seeing this and I'm actually seeing some growth. I'm actually only 2 months in at this point, and I'm actually seeing that I'm at 10% monetization. So I'm pleased with that. It's pretty neat. All right. So last week I said I was going to work on some stuff and I wanted to show y'all what I worked on, explain a little bit of what I did to improve those numbers and how and I kind of had Gemini grade me on it and tell me if I did good or not. So to boost retention, I noticed that my average view duration was a little bit low, not where I wanted it. And so it actually climbed up 1 second. 1 second. Well, it don't sound like a lot, but it's an improvement. And that's all I'm looking for is to continue to improve. I hope to be able to try to improve next week as well. Um, so what did I do? I really did some research on hooks and I used Gemini, I used Google, I watched some other people's YouTube videos and just kind of learned about hooks and things to keep people engaged. And I tried implementing that. And I know this is not going to change real quick over a week because it's not like I have a lot of data points with the new videos, But some of the videos that's coming out in the next couple weeks that I'm working on now, I think, I hope will improve that number because I've really put a lot more work into those videos. I spent a lot of time, really working on the hooks and spent a lot of time working on some micro hooks and throughout the video. So I wanted to make sure that I got those implemented in all the new videos. So I try to be about a week ahead on my videos. So I really don't think this number is going to increase much until the following week. Now, another thing I did do is I was working to make a YouTube short a day, and it was to cover something, new in the tech industry. And I found that was getting very difficult to do. I was having a hard time finding content. I was utilizing so much time to produce this single YouTube short a day that I just I didn't have the time I needed to improve on my long form videos, which I really, really wanted to do. And so I stepped back from that. I completely stopped the daily YouTube short. Uh, and then what I did is I started using a program called Opus Clips. And what that does is allows me to take my long form videos, drag and drop them into their software, and it creates shorts for me. And I was doing like two of those a day as well. And I quit that as well. I went down to one and I started working with the settings on Opus Clips. I spent almost an entire afternoon researching Opus Clips and figuring out what it was that really made how I could improve Opus Clips to make me really good hooks. And it actually has some features that you can change how you want the hooks and stuff like that. And so I did. I worked with Opus Clips, got those settings set up, and saved it because it actually allows you to save that as a standard setting. And then when you go to put a video in, you can actually pull up those standard settings and utilize that to for the next video that you drop into it. And so I did. I spent an afternoon working on that, and that turned out to be a good thing. As you could see, my engaged views have gone up quite a bit. Yes, I have less videos that I'm posting, but quality over quantity is what my goal was here. So the sub rate. Um, I made a mistake on the last video. I said I was at 23%. No, it's 2.3%. So I got called out. I made that mistake, and that's fine. I'm owning up to it. What I did do is it did increase slightly, as you can see, 23 to 0.25, 0.23 to 0.25. So still remains below my target, but I am increasing. My target is 1% of views turn into a sub. So there's that improved click through rate. And this is going to be something that I'm not going to see until maybe the next two or three videos. So I'm thinking mid next month, I might be able to start seeing if this is helping. What I've done is I've started working on some of my thumbnails before my video. So as I'm scripting, I'm working on the thumbnail. I'm trying to make sure that I don't put too much text. That was something I noticed I was doing is it seemed like I was making the thumbnail too full. And so I had a lot of words, things that people could sit there and read. I mean, and when you're looking at a teeny little box on your screen, you don't have the time to sit there and read, or it's hard to read. And if it's just too messy, it doesn't make sense. So one thing I've worked on is just a few words and make them very bold, make them big, and then the image up front on it really showcasing what this video is about. And so I'm hoping to see that increase. That I didn't really see any increase over the last week, but like I said, my videos that are long form, I'm working a week ahead. So the video that got posted on Sunday last week was actually produced the week before. So it doesn't have that improvement. Now, another thing I did do during the week was I had a couple older videos, some of my very, very first videos that I actually didn't put a thumbnail. I just used the auto-generated screenshot from the video, and I updated those. I put a new thumbnail there. I actually changed a little bit of the titles and stuff to help help those out. And so that was something I wanted to try. And I did do that this week to try to help improve this click-through rate. Analytic tracking. I said that I was going to try to show y'all more of a comparison, and that's what I did today. So I graded myself an A plus on that one. You know, showing last week versus this week. I really wanted to show y'all some of that information and makes it more engaging so you can see if I'm actually improving or not. And so that's what this video was really to try to hone in and help with that. So the tale of two videos. So in the beginning process, this video here, I produced very early on in my YouTube, which very early on means about a month and a half ago. And then this is one of my latest videos I produced this week. And I wanted to show y'all how I've worked to improve. And you can see just how low it was for this video and the amount of increase for this video. So that is another story showing just how much I've worked on those hooks. I've really honed in trying to learn a lot more about hooks and understanding that, you know, YouTube short, like the first 3 seconds of your video is the live or die. Like if you cannot hone in on the hook in the first 3 seconds, that user is going to scroll and that video is done for. And then in your long form videos, a lot of those are in that first 30 seconds. If they don't stay for the first 30 seconds, they're not staying. They're going to click off. All right. Go over a little bit of my likes and dislikes. So overall, the channel's likes is 93.7%, and I got 6.3% that are disliked. So my strategy here that I've been working on is the movie trailer hook. First 5 seconds, I really try to get that hook in. High pace value delivery. So I really let them know a lot of information. I do a dramatic in-screen call out, you know, watch this next video now, and then subscribers will return. And so I'm starting to see more of my subscribers returning. And so that's good. You know, those viewers that returned are who you start to build a YouTube relationship with. You know, if people are engaging with these videos on a regular basis, I'm starting to see a few people who are not only engaged on this video here, but now they're on this one and this one. And so that's good. That means I'm starting to get real active community members. And that's what you want. YouTube wants to see that people come back to you. And so I'm trying to hone in on that. Distraction free zone. So something that I did do when I first started YouTube, I started Facebook and Instagram and posting some of these on Twitter. And my thought process was, oh, okay, I could share this out to the world and people will click on the links and they'll come back to YouTube. And the click through rate was not there. Really started watching the analytics on that, and I was bringing in, I don't know, 5 or 6 people from these other sources, and the amount of time it was taking me, because I'm one person as of right now on YouTube, and the amount of time it was taking me to make sure that I had everything typed up correctly and posted on Instagram and on my Facebook page and on Twitter, and you know, the time it was taking for all that was not worth the views I was getting. And so I decided to pull away from that and focus on YouTube and the people who are actually engaging with my videos, people who are watching them, and so that I can bring them a better product. And so that was my goal in actually stopping the Facebook and Instagram. All right. So last things last. I want to hear from you guys. What is your stay to watch ratio? I want to hear, you know, what your niche is. If you want to comment, you know, your stay to watch ratio and what your niche is, I want to talk about it and we can discuss anything you have on that subject. maybe we can come up with some hooks if you want. And as always, like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon if you want to find out more. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.